Hello. Oh, crap. Um, Bear with me. I realize my sound might be, I don't know what it's looking at for a mic today. I realize I did not check it. So let me make sure that we are using the proper mics. There's never a dull moment. I decided I was going to be fancy today, and you said pop filter. So I'm super cool today. And welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Dr. Erica. And guess what? We are live and hanging out together. Tonight, we're talking about the topic. There was a verdict yesterday. Now what? So, for me, a lot of times we had these huge moments in history and our lives, but then we have to decide, what are we doing next? It's kind of like how you go through high school and it's like, oh my gosh, either it was bad or it was great. Most people I know, there's not really a middle ground with high school. I don't know too many people. They're like, it was kind of medium. It's usually, oh, it was great, or oh, it sucked. But there's a period, high school's over. And then you have to decide, what is next? Is the end of high school the end of your story? Or is there more story beyond high school? So now tonight, we're going to talk about, what is the story after this verdict? So I have a couple things I'm going to ask you to do. The first thing is, if you know someone that needs this message, please share it. Sharing is caring. The next thing is, if you know someone that needs this message, please tag them. Just tag. The next thing is, guess what? If you are watching it later, put hashtag replay in the comments so I know you were here. I would love to know that you stopped by. All right? Sound like a plan? Okay, let's do this. So if you don't know me, I am your host, Dr. Erica, Harvard-trained, double board certified psychiatrist and integrative lifestyle coach. I'm so passionate about helping people be better, do better, and ultimately live better. I do that through my telepsychiatry, my books, and my speaking. One of my superpowers is making mental health practical, even though my other one is sipping on tea, how I roll. But I do that so that you can have that life that you were created for. Because who doesn't want that life? I want that life. You want that life? All right, let's go ahead and get to this. So what we're talking about today, as we said, is there was a verdict yesterday. Now what? So let's get to the now what, because the myths we hear, and sometimes we have conversations, and people really believe that if Derek Chauvin was convicted, that was it. We free at last, free at last. Like straight Amistad, give us free. Like him being convicted was going to change the world. Now, don't get me wrong. I think it was a great thing. I think it showed that at least someone can see that murder is bad. But it was just the beginning. And one of the things we dealt with was, shortly after, we hear about someone else that died. So for real, we got a 15-year-old killed by police shortly after. It just makes you feel kind of And I think what happened with that was, it was the reality that a lot of us had, especially people I know that were Black, was that, number one, it wasn't a guarantee that even though millions of people saw this officer with his knee in the neck of George Floyd, that it wasn't automatically obvious that that meant for sure that he was going to be convicted. And a lot of us knew the reality was that that wasn't necessarily going to change the world, even if he was convicted. So there's one lie people were told or believed, which was that if he was convicted, the world would change. Racism would be better. Police brutality would be better. A lot of this, it reminds me of that quote that I'm about to butcher from Martin Luther King, where he talks about, you don't have to see the entire staircase to make it up. You just have to go one stair at a time. I'll have to look it up so I can say that exactly correctly. I know I am not Martin Luther the King, but that's what it reminds me of. So the first thing I want to say is remember, it ain't over. It's not over. This was not the end. This was not the end of all of this. That each thing is a step and it continues to take action. It's going to continue to take a wide community working together because we can't make it happen on our own. Anti-racism can't just be the people that were oppressed fixing it. So that it's not over. Just because this verdict happened did not mean police brutality, especially against Black bodies, was over, or the dehumanization of Black bodies was over. As we saw, little Miss Bryant got killed by police officers. Let me sip tea. That verdict wasn't 24 hours long before we had another hashtag. Put it in the chat if that sucked. If you weren't feeling that either, I was so not feeling it. And I think the thing that was interesting about it is a lot of people may not have been thinking the shoe was about to drop, but I know as a Black person in America, you're literally just waiting for the shoe to drop. And the shoe dropped really freaking quickly. So the first thing is, this isn't over. This journey is not over. But one of the things we can do is be politically active. I said stay. But if you weren't, get it. This is a great time to vote. You want to be mindful and know what's going on in politics, local and national. You want to be able to communicate with the people elected to represent you. The great thing is we're in the age of the internet. It is all out there. It's not hard to figure out who they are. I want to think there was this app that I can't remember the name of. So if I think of it, I'll put it in there that literally you put your zip code in and it tells you how to reach every single person. And you can actually message them through the app. But if not, if you put your zip code in on multiple websites, it will tell you the contact information for all of your elected officials. But one of the things we can't do is be asleep at the wheel. It happens with so many things that we get in the middle of our own lives and we fall asleep at the wheel, and then you look up and stuff is worse. I feel like this is the sipping tea episode. Let me know. Do you like to sip tea? Am I sipping tea alone? You sipping on something? Put it in the chat. So the next thing is there are lots of feelings, as a friend of mine, Dr. Kwame, would say. There are lots of, he talks about big feelings. His kids have big feelings, but there are lots of big feelings out there. So remember, it's okay to not be okay. You might not feel okay. You might not feel good. And as I said yesterday, sometimes we have, as we say, got all the feels, and all the feels aren't always all good feels. But you may have multiple emotions, or you may have emotions that you don't always feel are all positive. And I don't want you to feel ashamed or that something's wrong with you if this is still a difficult time. Why don't put in the chat, let me know if you feel okay. I have to be honest. I feel medium. Some things I feel great about today. Some things I feel like are a thumbs down. Kind of like, as Dave Chappelle said, as the infamous Rick James, I need 4 hands so I can give it 4 thumbs down. So there's some things I feel like that about. So, and the next thing to remember is, or the next thing that, it's now what do we do next is your health still matters. So I know we talk about Black Lives Matter, and they do. But also your health matters. Your physical and emotional health matters, because the one thing is it doesn't matter what happens to racism if you're dead. Just saying. if you are not around because you did not take care of yourself, if you are miserable because you didn't take care of your mental health, if you are passing away because you're having strokes because your pressure is a mess. There are so many things we have to do to take care of this vessel. This vessel also encapsulates our brain, which is our mind, and our mental health, that we have to take care of that. There are a few reasons why. Number one, when we are physically and mentally healthy, it gives us more mental clarity. Say it with me, mental clarity. If you want to be fancy, we're talking about cognitive ability. So the clearer you can think, the better you're at making decisions, the quicker you can make decisions, and those decisions be better, the more information you can process, the more productive you can be. And one of the reasons for productivity isn't just money. It's for a lot of us, especially in this environment, work and home are bleeding together. Well, the longer it takes to complete tasks for work, because say this is the amount of time you have to be awake. If it takes you here to work and this is what's left for you and your family. Well, if you are efficient and this is all you got, but you're able to get your tasks done here, well, look, now you have this much for yourself and your family. Who doesn't want this much? I want this much. You want this much? I want this much. So it helps give you cognitive clarity. You get energy, especially when you're mentally healthy, you'll have more energy. Depression, anxiety, all cause decreased energy, decreased concentration. Also, if you're overweight, your sugar's off, or even if you have thyroid issues, there's multiple medical issues that you'll be tired and worn out, and nobody wants that. None of that is fun. So the thing is one of the goals is you want to be alive to not only fight another day, but to live another day. Well, you won't be alive to live another day. It won't matter if a cop kills you. If your health is so bad, you die. And one of the highest causes of mortality and morbidity is related to mental health. So if you take care of your mental health, it will also typically help your physical health. But if your mental health is problematic, a lot of times it will have negative consequences on your physical health, especially with stress hormones like cortisol. But it can cause all kinds of other secondary issues, which none are fun. So I need you to still be here because you know what? You are important and you are great. I can't have you going anywhere. And the next to remember is it always feels like there's so much to do. Protests, emails, work, cleaning the house. There's always something to binge watch, a long night of verses. Shout out to Method Man and Red Man. That versus gave me life last night, kept me up late, but it was great. There's always something to do, but it is actually okay to rest. Your body needs to rest for a few reasons. You need rest because every system in the body, mentally and physically, is impacted by sleep. Symptoms of sleep deprivation or insomnia without any kind of mental health issue alone includes, Lord Jesus, me in this pop filter, includes poor energy, poor concentration, irritability, or dysphoria or sadness. Does any of that sound fun? No. Do you want any of that? No. So we need to rest so we can sleep. But also, sometimes you may need a moment just to gather your thoughts, or you're feeling overwhelmed and you need a little mental health moment, or you just need to relax a little bit because there's just so much going on. It is okay to rest. I will testify. I took a few mental health days this weekend and only did essential meetings and rested the whole time. And you know what? Despite all of this madness, I'm able to bring you a level of energy that it was hard for me to bring you for a few weeks. I think I was still peppy, but I'm more peppy now that I got some rest. So I want you to know too, there's always going to be something to do. You're never going to be done. Adulting does not work like that, even in a crisis, but we're adults in a crisis. There is a crisis of spirit. There's a soul level crisis out here when it comes to racial injustice and inequality. So I'm not going to just say racial injustice, because there are also a lot of things that people in the LGBTQ community are dealing with. There's just a lot of stuff. And, there are times where sexism, but it's just, there's so much in this space, along with this freaking pandemic, is that there's just a lot of things to manage in your own mind. So sometimes you need to take a breath. I'm giving you permission. Take the breath. Take the rest. Sometimes it reminds me of when you're in college. Let me know if any of you remember being in school and you had so much to do and you were up late because you were determined to do it, or you waited to the last minute and you were up super late, and it got to a point where you're looking and you're reading and you're trying to write your paper or do whatever the project is, and nothing is happening. No matter how much you know you need to do or how much you are actually awake, that nothing is getting done. Well, that's because you need some rest. So sometimes we need some rest to give us cognitive clarity and energy and focus. But also, for a lot of the things that we do, we are creating things. So you may not consider yourself a creative, but even when you write an email, when you write a letter, when you complete a document, when you come up with a plan, there's a level of creativity that comes with that sometimes we need to be able to think clearly to put everything together. So the next thing we're going to talk about is empathy matters. That we have to be able to not only give grace to ourselves and other people, but to hold back judgment. And that judgment is of ourselves and other people. Hold back the judgment. Because empathy matters. It makes a huge difference when we are empathic and understanding of what other people are doing or going through. This actually allows us to tap into our humanity. Also, us being empathic helps not feed into someone's shame or guilt. When we are not empathic, we are often judging. And what if someone is prone to feel shame and they feel judged? They're going to feel more shame. More shame is not good. I'm not just saying that because I like Brene Brown. It's just not good. So let's not do it. Let's not do it. So thank you so much for coming on. We're going to do a quick recap and then I'm going to get you out of there. Quick review. If you know someone that needs this, please tag them. Also, if you know someone that needs it, please share. Sharing is caring. The next thing is, if you are watching later, don't even worry about it. Hit hashtag replay. Let me know you were here. You can always rewind and hear the rest. So we're going to do a quick refresh and then get you out of here, because we were talking about that there was a verdict yesterday. 3 guilty verdicts for Derek Chauvin yesterday. Now what? And part of the now what we discussed was that it's not over. I can't remember what song. There was an old hip hop song. I was like, it ain't over. Oh, crap. That was Teddy Riley and Guy. Or it was actually Guy, because Teddy Riley wasn't out in front yet. It was just Guy. But it's not over. The reality is this struggle is not over. We do not have equality. It ain't fair. So just remember, it's not over. The fight's not over. So we got to pace ourselves. And we have to keep staying in action. If you are an ally, you have to keep allying. But the other thing is even as a Black woman, for me to expect people to be my ally, okay, listen closely, I have to be a good ally to others. So I have to be a good ally to my Asian sisters and brothers. I got to be a good ally to my Latinx sisters and brothers. Or non-binary, because, you know, everyone doesn't consider themselves sister or brother. Non-binary, gender neutral. I have to be a good ally to LGBTQ and the rest of the letters. I have to be a good ally to them. So we have to all practice being good allies to everyone. I cannot expect and want you to be a good ally for me if I'm not willing to be a good ally for someone else. We have to stay politically active. Don't fall asleep at the wheel. It's not just what we see coming across our TV screen. We have to be a part of the process. The political cycle is more than just voting for president. And besides elections, we have to be able and be willing to communicate with our legislators. But we also, it's useful if you have resources to also deal with PACs and all kinds of things. So just don't fall asleep at the wheel. The next thing is, remember, it's okay not to be okay. You don't have to be okay. I just want you to take good care of yourself. So there are times we don't feel okay, but we can still get help or get rest and feel better. So just giving you permission to have the feels. The next thing is, your health matters. Your physical and emotional health and your spiritual health matter. It doesn't matter what happens with racial injustice or police brutality. If you're dead, you're not going to know what happens. If you're dead, or you laid up and you can't do nothing. So let's take care of ourselves, because we want to be around as long as possible. And we also want to be healthy while we're around. And we also want our bodies and minds and spirits working at their best, which will allow us to truly enjoy this gift of life to the best of our ability. The next is, it's okay to rest. Even God rested. Just saying. It is okay to rest. The last thing is, don't forget, empathy matters. Us being judgy or not giving grace doesn't help anyone. So empathy matters. And if we give empathy, it puts us in a better place to receive it. So that's what I have for you tonight. Thank you so much for showing up tonight. I totally appreciate, feel all the love. Thanks for hanging out with me while I sip some tea. We tea sipping like a champ tonight. I have a few things for you. The next thing is, number one, thank you for taking time to join me. Doesn't matter if it was live, doesn't matter if it was replay. It matters that you were here. It matters that you value me. And that, guess what that means? I value you. If you like what you hear, please subscribe. If you are watching on Facebook, I want to remind you that I'm also on YouTube. So you can always go to YouTube too. But if you could subscribe and follow, if you are not already, that would be lovely. The next thing is I'm your host, Dr. Erica, Harvard-trained, double board certified psychiatrist, an international speaker. I am here to help you be better, do better, and live better. I do that through my telepsychiatry, my books, and my speaking. I make mental health practical so you can get that life that you were created for, because that's what we need you to have. Between that and my squeaky chair. I have a normal prescription for you, which is to call at least one person and tell them that you love them. They will tell you they love you back. I'm very sure it will happen, and you get to fill their love bucket. Your love bucket gets some love too. Don't you want that? Let's make all that happen. As I said, it has to be a video or audio call, and you have to speak to them. Text messages don't count for this homework. Give yourself a hug for showing up. Can we do that? I'm hugging myself. You hug yourself too. I'm sending virtual hugs out there. Thanks for working with me. Thanks for being here. Again, do not forget, your life matters. Your mental health matters. Your physical being matters. Your spiritual health matters. And for us to make Black Lives Matter, we have to take care of ourselves, be smart, be mindful, and be intentional to be the change that we want, even if we're taking little steps forward. That's what I got for you tonight. Again, this is my last night. I'm going live this week. I will be back on Tuesday night for Growth Groove with Dr. Erica. I am on Tuesdays and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. on YouTube and Facebook. I look forward to seeing you on the internets and on the interwebs. If you know someone that is struggling or overwhelmed, do me a favor. You can go to AskDrGoodwin.com, AskDrGoodwin.com. That's where you can find my high quality customized telepsychiatry. You can always go there and see if I may be a good fit for you, because the one thing I want is everyone to get the help they need to have that life, because darn it, you totally deserve it. So I'm going to get out of here because I realize I'm doing so much quality time that I don't want to leave you guys because I love you just that much. But I'm about to leave. So let me just say, have a better day.